Continuing with the entire section on India's physical aspect, or India's physical geography, drainage is one of those penultimate topics. The significance of the topic of drainage, other than physiography, other than geology, has been threefold. The first is that drainage is a reflection of whatever physiography is. That means it's physiography that determines the drainage of a region. And while studying mountains, one has to study the rivers, and while studying rivers, one has to study mountains. So there is a symbiotic relationship between drainage and that of physiography. That's reason number one. Second is drainage is significant from the perspective of the fact that it determines the base for the whole of Indian geography. Because without drainage, the students will find it difficult to study a topic like that of water resources, hydropower, multi-purpose projects, irrigation, agriculture, inland water transportation, and more importantly, the way the questions are being asked right now, good number of questions can be answered only while studying the rivers and some of the national parks and sanctuaries which are located on the rivers. This is the second significance. The third significance is having studied drainage, it becomes easier for the student to correlate a lot of topics, including drainage with climate, drainage with some type of activity that is going on in the country with respect to cleaning of the river, and often on it does happen that some of the rivers are in use because some boat has capsized or because some plant has been laid out or because of the location of some of these type of centers. Now, one will go on to find it difficult to answer or maybe easy to answer that which is the most important confluence town in the whole of the country. The natural part for many students happen to be an answer that is Prayag, Allahabad. It is going to be. It's not. Now, good number of students will find it difficult to answer and difficult to find. That is, why is it not they have studied this answer as Patna? Patna lies on the confluence of four rivers, not one, not two, not three. Allahabad is only on two of them. Patna is on the confluence of four rivers. And to talk about which is the northernmost confluence city in the whole of the country, again the students do going to find it is struggling to answer this question. Make a guess. It is Leh. That is on the confluence of Ladakh, Indus and Jaskar river, both of them. That is a part of it. So the interrelationship nature of the topics are always going to be significant with respect to drainage. And drainage with respect to climate, climate with respect to certain things new happen to be taking place in the whole of the world or in India is important. Of course, it goes without saying that the topic is significant from the perspective of examination. Take a look at your screen and some of the questions that have been asked from drainage. One of these questions, which of the following is or are is a tributary or tributaries of Brahmaputra? Dibang, Kameng, Lohit. And the students are asked to select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 only, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. Now, answer in this case is going to be D because all the given rivers, Dibang, Lohit, Kameng are the tributaries of Brahmaputra. In this case, all of the three. And that's not all. That is Dihang, Dibang, Lohit, Sankosh, Manas, Subansiri, Tirsa, Torsa, Jaldhaka, Tista, Raidak, all of them happen to be the tributaries of it. Now, this was one of these questions that was fact-based question. That is, if the students knew this answer, they knew it. Otherwise, there was no way they could have answered this question. The second question in this case is, again, consider the following rivers. Vamsdhara, 1, Indravati, Pranhita, Pennar. Which of them are the tributaries of Godavari? That is 1, 2 and 3, 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2 and 4, 2 and 3. And once you go on to understand these are the tributaries. Do you require to remember the name? Of course, it's not going to be easy for anyone to be memorizing these names. And once you consider that the left-hand tributaries of Godavari include Purna, Pranita, Indravati, Sabari, Taliperu, Vanganga, Panganga, Vardha, Dudhana, and the right-hand tributaries like Pravara, Manjira, Pedda, Vagu, Manar, and Kinarasani. Then you find it easy to answer these questions. That was again fact-based. The third question is going to be match list 1 and match 2 and select the code given below. That is, in one of these lists, it is going to be Dolly and Vishnu Ganga, and matching with Vishnu Prayag, Alaknanda and Pindari with Karna Prayag, Alaknandan Bhagirathi with Dev Prayag, Alaknandan Mandakini with Rudra Prayag, and it was again to choose the correct answer, matching both of them. A third of this representative question in this case is going to be which of the following is the correct order in terms of volume of water flow in a given peninsular river: Mahanadi, Krishna, Narmada, and Kaveri, and one had to arrange it. Now, the volume of water, that means in terms of cusecs and cumax, was to be measured. Another of it had been another fact based, that is matching list 1 and list 2 and selecting the correct code. That is one on one side, as you're going to see in the screen, is the drainage pattern, and another is going to be the reverse. So one is antecedent, that is Kali, Satluj, superimposed, Suvarnarekha, Sona, annular dome shape, that is Sonipat dome, centripetal, that is Sambar, and then that was what was to be matched. In all, one has to say that most of the questions that are going to be asked from drainage happen to be fact-based. They have been fact-based so far. They will be fact-based later on. That's a moot point. That is something that can only be speculated, that can only be contemplated. It is not going to be always so. And it can go on to be associated with the amount of water carried by Ganga and Yamuna differ in Allahabad. Both of them have a different quality and quantity of water. Consider the following facts with respect to Yamuna and Ganga in Allahabad. And then they will go on to give you Yamuna water carries a greater amount of silt, Ganga less amount of silt. The amount of arsenic carried by Yamuna is high, the amount of arsenic carried by Ganga is low, and so on so forth. So students now have to be prepared and to be ready for the fact, because the number of students appearing in the examination is changing. So they have to be prepared for with this, and they have to be ready with this part, that questions have exhausted in UPSC, and most of the questions that are going to be asked later on is going to be from such type of topics that have not really easily comprehensible. Since there are a lot of terminologies that are going to be used in the description of drainage as a chapter, it is imperative that these terminologies are known to our candidate. Drainage is about moving water. The moving water undertakes two functions, the most important of which is the draining the region with superfluous water brought by rain. That means the extra amount of water that is brought by the rainfall. This water must go somewhere. Unless it goes somewhere, it will go on to inundate the region, it will go on to cause waterlogging, and accordingly it will go on to lead to a flooding type of a situation. Unless this drainage water finds itself to the sea, there is no way that sea can also go on to survive. The oceans cannot go on to survive without it. So all the rainwater that falls on the surface finds itself draining due to the action of the rivers. Rivers play a dominant role in the transportation of weathering products and in the denudation of the Earth's surface. But that's not our topic right now. When this rainfall takes place, it forms a thin film of water on the surface which flows uniformly in the form of sheet called as sheet flow. Sheet flow is unlikely to proceed in an uniform manner. The sheet of rainwater is guided into depressions and areas unprotected by plants, and the concentration of erosive action produces rills, which are small grooves of irregular depths running down the slope. That is, the whole of the region goes on to get itself covered with a sheet of water, And when it goes on to get itself covered with a sheet of water, it goes on to find itself concentrated along the slope in the form of a small groove called as rills. So once the rills have developed, finally a master rill emerges. And when many rills join together, there is a drainage system that develops. The master rill enlarges itself in the form of a rivulet, flowing in the form of a stream. Stream, that means it goes on to flow straight in the form of a stream. Ultimately, many rivulets finally join together to form a larger stream that is called as a river. The place where a river originates is called its head. The point where the river comes to the usually entering a sea, and it can go on to be a lake as well. Sometimes it is called as its mouth. The rivers and the streams keep joining each other. A larger river stream is joined by a smaller river and is called as its tributary. The point at which two rivers or streams join is called its confluence. The rivers can join either the right hand side or the left hand side and are called as the left hand or right hand tributary. The determination of a left-right bank of a river is relative and is done in a specific manner. Stand facing the mouth of the river in the direction of its course. That means towards the region where the river goes on to drain. The left hand side will be the left hand tributary and the left bank river, and the right hand side is going to be the right bank of the river. Generally, the area drained by the river and its tributary is called as a river basin or catchment area. The river basin is an area drained by a river and its tributaries, and catchment area is all the area of land over which rain falls and is caught to serve as a river basin. That means the entire portion from where the river is able to catch its water is called as the catchment area, and catchment area is synonymous to a river basin. It's almost like a basin, bowl-shaped depression from where all of these rivers come and converge in the center of it. The catchment area of one river is divided by another with an elevated area that is called as water divide. Thus, a natural basin is the land area in which water drains towards a common water course. Water divide is the delimiting boundary of a drainage basin. A divide separates one drainage basin, one catchment area from another. And that means there are two river basins that are going to be divided by a water divide, not watershed. Watershed is different from that of water divide. Watershed is a geohydrological unit comprising of all land and water within the confine of a drainage divide. It refers to a ridge to valley approach to demarcate a watershed. That is, it's not ridge to ridge, which is water divide. That is, there is one ridge that divides the water and the water that goes on to fall over it in two different directions. It's a ridge to the valley. A watershed is also the area across or under which water flows on its way to the lakes or to the rivers, streams, and to groundwater. Water flows to the lowest point in each of these areas, usually a lake, a stream, pond, or a river. This basin from ridge to valley is a watershed and can come in many different shapes and sizes. Watersheds are also catchment area of small rivers, a lake, or a tank. Watersheds are small in area, generally less than 1,000 hectares. The river basin drains itself through the main river either in a lake or a sea. Coming near to drain the basin, the main river may get distributed into many branches. These are called as distributaries. In the case of distributaries, the small river branches out from the main river and then never meets again. These distributaries are responsible for reducing the river's water volume. Distributaries are commonly found on deltas but are also important in the formation of alluvial cones and fans. Take a look at your screen and to be visible to you that better explains you how exactly the watershed, the water divide and other areas, river basins go on to function. A river has a river regime and river discharge. River discharge is the volume of water flowing in a river measured over time. It is measured either in cusecs, that's cubic feet per second, or cumacs, that is a cubic meters per second. River regime refers to the seasonal fluctuation in respect of volume of water in the river. This can be explained in the case of Himalayan and peninsular rivers. The main difference in their flow is caused by the difference in the climate.